Hi everyone. I hope you are doing well. I was reading, and I have been reading for a while from the teacher's manual, and in particular the idea of the shift in perception. Right? In your transformation, what you're undergoing is a shift in perception, a shift in thinking. The way he addresses that here is with sickness, but of course, it doesn't necessarily apply to a physical sickness per se alone. It requires to your entire way of thinking, correct? But he addresses it here with sickness. He says, listen, sickness is a faulty problem solving approach. It's a decision. Now, he says the resistance against that idea is enormous, right? It's not the way the world thinks. According to the world, sickness is something that happens to you quite unsought, right? Your body can decide to get sick and now you're suffering. But the shift in perception that's required in your physical transformation is one of no, sickness is a decision, and decisions are of the mind, and therefore that single shift in perception is sufficient to heal you. Right? He says, accepting the one for yourself, which is that idea, correct, will perfectly heal you. It's the same thing, right? One and healing are the same thing, right? So it's just another way of looking at things, isn't it? It's another way of thinking about everything, right? So, undergoing your physical transformation, undergoing your awakening simply means change your mind. It's a complete revolution of thought. It's not a little bit different, it's the opposite of the thinking of the world. So, I was reading from it, and it's beautiful. He says the resistance to recognizing this is enormous because the existence of the world as you perceive it depends on the body being the decision maker. But the body is a wholly neutral thing. It's incapable of being sick. It's always the mind that thinks it's separate from God that is sick, right? And then projects the sickness on the body for a purpose that it would use the body. However, that's not so, right? That's not so. So, no, sickness is a decision. End of story. Now, again, the resistance against this is enormous, right? That's not the way the world thinks, but that's the way you are starting to think in your awakening, right? In your physical transformation. You're no longer at the mercy, if you will, of the world. And he says so beautifully, what is this shift in perception, right? This prerequisite for the shift in perception going to cost you? It's going to cost you the whole world you see. Why? Because the world will never again appear to rule your mind. You're no longer at the mercy of what's out there because you remember that what? There's nothing out there, right? That in your attack on yourself, you projected the world out there, and now you see your own attack being reflected back at you. Because that's all it is. The world can only reflect back at you your own state of mind. It's incapable of doing anything else because it's not doing anything, right? I love that because once you realize that, you realize also that the sole purpose of everything is forgiveness. That whatever happens to you, whatever is coming your way, whatever problems you seem to be perceiving, or whatever hurdles you're encountering, are simply opportunities for forgiveness. And with that, you invite the miracle of correction to take care of whatever problem you're confronted with for you, right? The sole responsibility of an awakening consciousness, of a teacher of God, is to accept the enlightenment for yourself, right? That means forgiving, right? Because you're the cause of it, right? I'm responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, correct? This is straight from our Course in Miracles. And I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to be happening to me, emphasis on seems, right? I ask for and receive as I've asked. It's impossible that anything could be happening to you without your own consent. Yes, this is uncompromising, isn't it? A Course in Miracles is an uncompromising thought. That course, that's why it's easy. If there were exceptions to this, this would be a hard course. No, there are no exceptions on this course, right? Truth is true and nothing else is true. Truly, salvation is no compromise, correct? So, no, there are no exceptions to truth. But this is why this course is easy to learn, right? It's wholly consistent. The reason why maybe is sometimes experience is hard is because what? Somehow you're trying to still merge the thought systems, right? One is the thought system of the world, and the other is the new thought system. You can't merge the two because they have nothing in common. That's where the conflict arises. That's where maybe some difficulty enters because you're trying to reconcile the wholly irreconcilable. That's what it is finally, right? That shift in perception is so necessary, and the world will never again appear to rule your mind, right? Whatever problems you're having, you simply remember that you're the cause of it, and that the sole response for everything is one of forgiveness. Remember, you're the cause of it. Remember, none of this is true, right? That idea. How simple is that? Yeah? All you need is willingness, and your little willingness, with the power of the universe that goes with you in your awakening, melts every apparent obstacle away, right? Ask for help and it will be taken care of you for you. Literally for you, right? There is basically no effort asked of you. This is a wholly effortless course if you let it be that way. Don't tell it what it is, don't tell it what it should be, right? Step back and let it show you what it is. Beautiful. As he's so beautiful, he says, and I'm reading here, um, the transfer value of one true idea has no end nor limit. The transfer value of one wholly true idea is without limits, right? The final outcome of this lesson is the remembrance of God. It's a single lesson, constantly um, being taught in many, many different ways. That's why you seem to have different problems, because they all take different forms, but you do not really have different problems. They're one and the same, which is your belief in separation. And what? You're not separate. You're not separate from Source. So again, this is a constant lesson that occurs in many, many different ways till it's learned. And then it's there no more. The final outcome is the peace of God. So this is what many of us out there that are awakening, and we're in this particular time in this world where the awakening is being accelerated, right? And this is what we're learning. This is what many of you are learning. That truly this shift in perception, this wholly consistent thought system, is replacing your old thoughts. And with that, is emerges a whole new you, correct? And I saw a new heaven and I saw a new earth, right? Because everything around you will reflect back to you now the wholly new you, because you're no longer at the mercy of your own attack thoughts. You're seeing your forgiving thoughts being reflected back at you, and boy, do things look differently, right? They don't look like they used to once you're in that new mindset. I realized that the world doesn't teach this, but remember, that's the way you should think about it, right? You are undergoing that transformation. You are in your new mind, and this is now what you'll accept. And don't, for if you find yourself caught for a moment, you're undergoing a physical conversion, you're undergoing what maybe before you would have called sickness, but for a moment you have a hurdle or some other financial hurdle, or you name it, whatever problem apparently you're perceiving for a moment, ask for help, because help is always given. Don't tell your simultaneous corrector what that help should look like. Ask for help. He knows how to take care of it. You do not know what's in your own best interest, but he does. Right? It's that constant stepping back in this divine ignorance. I do not know how to handle this. Could you please take care of it for me? I need help with this. That idea. Beautiful, right? The world doesn't do anything to you. It's incapable of doing anything to you because it's wholly meaningless. It's you projecting your own thoughts on this world, thinking that it's doing something to you. And it happens constantly, right? It seems to be happening constantly in all different forms. And finally you learn that, wait a minute, I'm only affected by my own thoughts, right? I'm not affected by anything out there. Or I don't have to be if I forgive it for a moment, right? If I forgive it, it's gone. You can't even find it. If that takes a moment, let that be so. Because sometimes the correction seems to take a moment depending on how hard you've been defending yourself, and Time seems to pass a little, but remember, time finally is meaningless. Time, has no effect on eternity. Be confident that the correction will occur if you want it to. Keep on practicing, keep on converting, keep on applying, right? But make no exceptions in the applications. Because as he so beautifully explains in the introduction to the workbook, is that one exception held apart from true perception makes its accomplishment anywhere impossible, right? It applies to everything, right? The lesson applies to everything without exception. And practice it does, right? There is nothing that this is why what I was reading a moment ago. He says, let me see if I can find it. And this is over healing in all forms, right? He says, there is no form of sickness that would not be cured at once, with the statement that I have no need for this, right? I'm doing this to myself. I'm the cause of this. It's a decision. I'm using my mind as a decision maker to decide for that, and I no longer want to do that. There is no form of sickness that would not be cured at once, right? Atonement, accepting the atonement for yourself, and healing are one and the same thing, right? Or the lesson, use the lesson. Only salvation can be set to cure, right? It doesn't mean you don't go to a doctor. It doesn't mean you don't take whatever medications you take, right? Please, please, if they help you temporarily, take them. That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're teaching, right? What we're teaching that ultimately you don't need them. And if you need them temporarily to help you out for a moment, please take them. That's not, again, sometimes it gets confused with that. That's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is ultimately, right, that shift in perception will take care of it for you. Huh? Take whatever help you can get at any moment. That's not the point. The point is practice it. Huh? Practice the truth, because finally the truth will set you free. It's that simple. You're not at the mercy of anything out there. You're at the mercy of your own thoughts. You're affected by your own thoughts. And this is why we're training our minds, right? Because, right, as he so beautifully expresses in the Course of Miracles, you are way too tolerant of mind wandering. You just kind of wander off constantly, and we have to constantly rein it in, right? No, bring it back in, right? And we're reminding ourselves the entire day of what the truth is. And then that way, truly, that shift in perception does take place. And what was kind of uh, what was hard to learn initially now becomes second nature. Where maybe before you were struggling with these new ideas and struggling with accepting them and applying them, now becomes second nature. Your first thought will not be, "Oh my God, I'm in trouble." Your first thought would be, "Oh, let's step back and ask for help." Right? I know this. I know what this is. It's just another hurdle for a moment. Step back, ask for help. But you're no longer worried by it, because your first response is not one of despair. Your first response is stepping back and asking for help. Because all the help is given you all the time. It cannot not. Again, you're not separate from Source. And there's nothing God cannot do. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. There really isn't. They're all the same. Miracle is always maximal. It's always maximal, right? One holy true idea. Its power is without limit. The correction is always maximal. One thing is not harder or easier to correct than another. An illusion is an illusion is an illusion. They're by definition not true. And all they require is that shift to truth. That's the miracle. That's the correction. That's the course that many of you are practicing out there. And you're learning to trust. You're learning to regain your trust in that. You're learning to trust your source again. Because you did attack yourself, right? And therefore didn't trust your source anymore, and thought you separated from yourself in a world of your own making. And now you learn that even here, right, the memory of God you couldn't drown out. Right? It's still in you, and it's resurfacing at this point in time because you're not able to repress it. Right? You have enough pain. You see the disillusionment of solutions in space time, and now that memory is resurfacing. Right? Time to wake up. Love it. And there is indeed, in this time continuum, at this point in time, an absolute worldwide awakening going on. It's accelerating. It brings about a lot of chaos. But let that be. It is what it is. Remember, none of it is real. It's simply a necessary shift of a light insertion in this time continuum that will bring about a lot of fear and chaos. But that's simply the reaction of your world of denial to the insertion of truth. But rest assured, this will become easier. You will find the peace of God, and you will remember who you are. You can't fail at this. You're in good hands. You're in good hands. So I just wanted to encourage you for a moment today to, maybe you needed a little, maybe you were doing just fine, but to don't worry about it, to not to worry about anything, to practice these ideas that bring about that shift in perception in you, and to rejoice, because you have truly every reason to rejoice in your awakening. Many of you are experiencing the joy and the peace and the happiness of the light, and the light that you're experiencing right now. Many of you maybe are going still, well, I'd like to, but I'm struggling slightly with this. Well, again, remember that it'll be just another moment. Keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on practicing these ideas without compromise, right? Even if you don't believe it, even if you go like, well, surely it can apply to this. Remember what he says about the training in the beginning of the work? He says it doesn't matter whether you believe in, it doesn't matter whether he says the only thing that you're being required to do is to make no exceptions when you apply them. For it doesn't even take away any of the efficacy, even if you don't wholly believe it. You're not required to wholly believe it, because if you wholly believed it, you wouldn't have to practice it. Okay? So I love you. Wherever and whenever you are today, have a great, great day. Remember, you're one with Source, right? You are not separate. You have every reason to be completely happy. Have a great day, and I'll see you everywhere.